Hello, everyone. Good to have everyone watching tonight. We are going to do the 12 virtues, lesson number 4. Just a quick recap. The first week we talked about forgiveness and how important it is to forgive others and to be forgiving. And then we talked about optimism in week 2. That was our second virtue, and how to look at the bright side of things. And then week 3, last week we talked about love and loving others, and love is an action. So we have to show action towards others. And this week is one that's not so popular with us, but we're going to talk about the fourth one, which is patience. Patience. We'll start like we normally do. We'll have a little story to kind of relate it. And then I actually have a little illustration today as well. All right. This one is a second wind needed. Bethany's bags had been packed since yesterday. She couldn't wait to see Jenna, whom she only saw for a week each year. Bethany not only looked forward to that week on Jenna's rambling farm, but the flight was always exciting. Her dad would hire a little 4-seat plane so they wouldn't have to change flights 3 times. He would drop her with Jenna's family at the small Colorado airport and then continue on to his annual conference in Denver. Bethany loved being above the clouds, and the bumpy ascent and descent were 10 times as much fun as amusement rides. Right on the dot at 4 o'clock, Dad came to her room, grabbed the handle of her suitcase, and said, "Are we ready?" "Finally!" Bethany raced for the car. Dad didn't seem as excited as he usually did. He started the engine, staring worriedly at the sky. It was overcast. Bethany shrugged. Their flight would be above the clouds. "I can't wait to ride Jenna's horse," Bethany said, and started rattling off other things she was excited about. Swimming in the creek, swinging from the Tarzan rope in the barn, eating Jenna's mom's homemade cakes. Dad grinned, but kept glancing up at the sky as they drove toward the little airport. When they arrived, lightning flashed. Thunder grumbled as Dad spoke to the man at the ticket counter, and they both met Bethany at the door looking horrible. "We can't take off," Dad explained. "Planes attract lightning. It would be too dangerous. We may have to cancel this trip because, well, if I can't make my conference in Denver, there's no point in paying for the expensive plane." Tears welled up in Bethany's eyes. A few lines between her dad and the airport attendant. She was heading toward home again, the windshield wipers sloshing like crazy. Bethany felt there could not be more water on that windshield than was pouring down her cheeks. All that waiting for this? The best lessons in patience come when we've already been patient and we think we have been patient enough. Think of that marathon runner who has reached a state of exhaustion, but he can go no further, but yet he pushes on instead of stopping, and he speeds up, and he gets that second wind. When we need a second wind in our patience, we can rest assured we are in for some great experience if we keep running the race. Now, Bethany, she threw herself on her bed in frustration, her mom following on her heels. And Mom was always excited, reciting famous sayings, and this time it was a scripture. And talking about not being anxious about anything, but by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Mom finished with Philippians 4:6. Bethany pushed Mom's sympathetic hand off her head, and she just wanted to be alone. "God, please make this bad weather change fast," she said, and decided to tell God the whole thing while she waited. "God, you saw how long Jenna and I have been planning. We don't want to do bad things. We try to live by you. We speak to you all the time. Didn't you miss Jesus when he was down here on earth? So you understand how I miss Jenna." A few lines later, she fell into an exhausted sleep, confident that she had unburdened her heart, and there was nothing to do but wait. In summer storms, they can erupt quickly and unexpectedly, as do challenges in life. And sometimes there's nothing to do but wait it out. That's the hard thing about patience, is waiting it out. And some challenges, they resolve really quick. And others take time to resolve. Like summer storms, they can settle very quickly. Bethany awoke to her dad shaking her. The smell of rain and wet earth wafted in the window. But the sky was above was clear. "Let's go while the going's good," Dad said. "We'll be there 3 hours late, but once you get with Jenna, you won't even remember it." As we look at Jeremiah chapter 29, verse number 11 says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." God already knows all the thoughts that we're thinking. And you look at Jenna's prayer, and she prayed for God to make it clear and take the storms away. And all she could do at that point, she's made the prayer to God, is just wait. That's what makes it tough when it comes to patience, is the waiting part. When we get what we want quickly, it doesn't require patience and there's no problems. And you can think back to at Christmas time, all the waiting, you see the presents under the tree, and you got to wait, and you got to wait. And it seems like Christmas morning will never get there. I can promise you, as much as we would like to, if you opened all your presents up on like the 15th of December, there'd be nothing to look forward to on the 25th, or Christmas Day. And that's the problem with patience, is we want it now. We don't want to be patient. Everything is now. I'm hungry, so feed me now. I know my boy, he likes to put things in the microwave because it's fast. So he cooks pizza rolls in the microwave, which I think's nasty. Why? Because he didn't want to wait the 15, 20 minutes it takes to cook them in the oven. And we do that with God sometimes. We don't want to be patient. We don't want to wait. And did you ever feel in a disappointment that God was being cold or heartless? Think about the times that we've been disappointed. Sometimes we kind of think, man, God, he just doesn't love me. Man, he's being cold, he's being heartless. And obviously it's not true that God is, but sometimes when we get wrapped up in our emotions, we feel that way. God wants to give us those desires of our heart, and there's some reasons that we don't always get them. What are some of those? Some reasons we don't always get them. If we got everything that you wanted as boys and girls, you never had to wait for anything, you would be spoiled rotten. Let's look at the kid in the grocery store. When he wants the cereal, he wants the candy bar, and if mom gives it to him, which sometimes they do. And does the kid stop screaming? No, he wants another candy bar. He wants another donut. He wants something else. We have to learn to wait. God's design is for us to wait. We as humans don't like to. As families, we don't like to be patient. Brothers and sisters aren't so patient with each other. Moms and dads sometimes aren't patient with each other. A lot of times moms and dads aren't patient with their children. And sometimes children aren't patient with their mom and dad. And it causes all kinds of problems. But God tells us he knows those thoughts that we think. And thoughts of peace. And he's going to give us an expected end. And we have to keep in mind that end that God gives us isn't always the end that we want. And then Isaiah 40:31. "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." Think back to that local farmer, maybe in Bethany's story there. What if that local farmer in that region had been praying hard for rain? So you got the farmer praying hard for rain, waiting for God patiently to give the rain. And you got Bethany that doesn't want it to rain because she wants to go on the trip. So now it seems like God's in a dilemma, right? Who does he answer? And that's what we got to understand sometimes, is when God doesn't answer our prayers, it's because there's something else that needs it more. Maybe that farmer needs that rain more because his crop's going to die. And we can wait a little longer to go on our trip or whatever we want to do. When you think about it like that, how does that idea change our view of the story? And to think about that with prayer, we're praying one thing when someone else is praying something over here. And both can have totally right hearts, but then God's going to decide according to his perfect plan which one that he's going to answer. And God always answers our prayers. It's always either wait or yes or no. And we don't like to be told no. And don't forget that to solve our dilemmas, God often has to move people with free will and opposite desires. So he has to move people around. The farmer wants the rain. Bethany doesn't want the rain. So what does God do? He causes Bethany to wait. And she waits some more. And then she did get to go. She was just a few hours late. And sometimes we can be so upset because we had to wait 3 hours and miss out on all the fun that's happened afterwards. And how can outcomes be different if we agree to sit with faith and patience? We will learn to sit and wait with patience. When mom says, wait for our dinner. When mom says, not now, in just a minute, hold on. But we want it now. We keep screaming. Mom does something because she's upset, and you don't get what maybe mom was trying to do. Maybe mom was trying to make something special for supper, but since you pushed and pushed and pushed, you're going to get SpaghettiOs instead because that's quick. Instead of getting lasagna, which was much better there. And that's how it is sometimes with God. We push and we push and we push, and we don't wait. But we wait upon the Lord. It's going to renew their strength. When you learn to wait as families, we learn to wait upon God. Whether it be for a job, whether it be for finances. Maybe there's a big bill that we got to pay. I know that moms and dads aren't going to share all the financial trouble with their kids, but I think it's great to know that when families have problems that God provided. And God found a way through that. When jobs have been lost, and we've had jobs been lost here in our church, and we prayed for people to get new jobs, the waiting part was not fun, but man, that reward when we saw those people get those jobs, that's rewarding. And don't forget, to solve our problems, God often has to do more than that. And as you get your strength renewed, and they mount up, it says, they mount up with wings as eagles. Eagles soar, and they can see over everything. And they're going to run and not be weary, and they're going to walk and not faint. When we learn to wait upon God, so much greater things are going to happen for us. Then we see in Psalm 37:4, the Bible tells us to delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. What does it mean to delight yourself in the Lord? You're going to take pleasure in. You're going to want to do the things that God wants you to do. You're going to do those right things. When it comes to church, you're going to want to be in church. You're going to want to read your Bible. You're going to want to pray. All those things that we know that we do that. And you're trying to live right. As even kids, we try to live right. As moms and dads, we try to live right. That word delight implies that you need to do something fun and rewarding. And it's a lot of fun when it comes to the Lord there. We just sometimes miss out on the fun part because we focus on all the not so fun, or the things that we could perceive as not so fun. Think of a time, or what desires of your heart do you have that you and he can work on together? Maybe we have some desires. We could think some big thing. Oh, I want a nice big house. And think about it, you have this nice big house, and you got it right now, and it's got a big pool, and if it's boys, it's got a big basketball hoop, indoor gym, and you got all these arcade rooms, and you got toys and games, and for girls, anything that you want to do, but it's all right now. And we thought, oh, that'd be great. But then if we had all that right now, what kind of people would we be for Christ? Because we don't have to wait. Maybe those desires, God knows if you got all those things, you would forget about him. So God's going to put those desires in your heart. When you delight yourself in the Lord, he's going to put those right things. He's going to put what he wants in there, and you're going to desire that. It's not wrong to want more things. It's just wrong if you want it aside from God. And think of a time when you had to have lots of patience. Everybody has to have lots of patience from time to time. Maybe you have to be patient with someone else. Or maybe that person has to be patient with you. And it could go back and forth. Moms and dads have to be patient with their kids. And kids sometimes have to be patient with their mom and dad. But think about that time. And the final outcome when we had the patience. And we thought that it would never come. And we had that patience. And then the reward that it was there. If you haven't had your final outcome yet, what do you want it to be? Maybe you're still waiting for something. What do you want that outcome to be? We have to seek God and wait for that. And then we see here with this, with patience here, I'm going to have a feather here in a minute and a ball. And we're going to show you how people are sometimes. Sometimes we need to show patience toward circumstances. Other times we have to show it towards people. It's much, much harder to show patience with people because circumstances, they don't react to us, but people do. When people do things and we have to be patient with them, they react to us or we react to them. That computer that we're mad at because it won't load fast enough, it has no feelings. So it doesn't get pushed one way or the other. That computer's going to do exactly what it's going to do. We can bang on it, we can hit it, we can yell at it, we can scream at it. Anything we want to do, and that computer's still going to take its time. But we try doing that with people, and man, we're going to cause some great, great damage. So we got two different things we're going to try here as an illustration. We tend to look at people and not really see them. So on this feather, people's emotions are pushed very easily. And we don't know what people are going through. So if I try to drop this feather and catch it before it hits the ground, I've got to have the patience. When it hits the ground, it's just going to be destroyed there. And sometimes we're thinking of that. So when you drop the feather and it's going all different kinds of ways, that way it was pretty easy. But when I throw it up in the air and I drop it and it starts floating, and I can grab it. And it comes over here and it gets blown around, and maybe this time I can't get to it. That's how people's feelings are. They're tossed back and forth. And sometimes the best patience that we can get is when we're patient with those type of people that have the hurts, the anger, the emotions. They're being pushed from side to side, and we got to be patient with them. And that's not an easy thing. And you think about others. With a ball, if I throw it up, it pretty much comes right back down. Those people don't show the emotions. They're not pushed side to side, but they're all inside. Maybe it's in their heart. It's in their mind. It's weighing them down. And I can throw the ball up pretty much every time and catch it. I don't have to go jumping all around like I did with the feather. You throw it up and try to do that, it goes all over the place. And so when we think about that, and we look at people and not really see them, we can see how they are feeling unless we learn to look with sympathetic eyes, which both the ball and the feather can help us do. The ball and the feather, they're going to symbolize the feelings of others, the feelings of mankind. And we can see from the feather how easily people's feelings can get blown around. That wind catches that feather and it blows it all different direction. How delicate people's feelings are. And we can see how hard we sometimes have to try to catch those feelings before people hit bottom. And we're trying to catch those. That's the patience. It takes patience to look at the feather and try to catch it. It takes patience to look at people that are hurting. Your brother maybe, your sister, your friend, your mom, your dad, or your kids if you're moms and dads, and your coworkers, and whatever it may be. And we can see how delicate they are. They hit bottom. Some people's hurt, anger, fear, and frustration, they manifest differently. And some people might be feeling those things in their stomachs or their chest, but they never cry, they never flinch, they never would even know. You would walk them and see them down the street, you'd never even know that they're upset. Others will be floating around like the feather, and then they speak back and forth. A good rule with patience, the Bible tells us in Ephesians 4:32 is, and be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. Be ye kind, tenderhearted, forgiving one another. It goes back to the forgive, which we talked about in week 1. Patience to forgive. We have the patience to be kind. When people are letting their feelings get all blown around and we're trying to help them do something and we're like, why can't you just do it right here? Instead of thinking, man, maybe this person has a lot going on. And with our moms and dads, maybe it's some technology-related thing. Kind of put it more practical. We do it, as kids, you do it every day. Mom, press right here. It's right. And instead of saying, hey, look over here, do this, do that. And you're trying to be kind. And parents, sometimes, we can be with our kids. We're trying to teach them how to do something. And we don't have the patience. Because we just want it done. Be kind, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven. God's forgiven us. We got to forgive them. We got to be careful that we have balance when we speak to people. We want to make sure we tell them the truth, but we want to make sure we do it in love. And we don't want to speak in ways that's going to put them off. That's when you have that lack of patience. We've all seen, and we've probably all done it, parent-wise, where we get mad at the person with the traffic, or kids get mad because they don't want to wait or whatever. Just be kind. Be patient. To be really patient and healing towards others, keep this ball and the feather in mind. They're different. The feather's much harder. The ball's much easier. Some people are going to be easy to be patient with. Others are going to be hard to be patient with. But as you look back in the story there, we got to remember that God is patient. And when we learn to wait on God, then the patience will follow. And we can learn to be more patient. So there we go from there. Next week, after we pray here, but next week we're going to talk about faithfulness. And that'll be our 5th virtue. Let's pray here, and then we'll be completed. Lord, we do thank you for this time, Lord. We thank you for your opportunity to preach your word, Lord, and teach your word. Lord, I pray that it be a help to our families, Lord, our kids, our parents, Lord, that we can be patient, Lord. Every day presents us with troubles and trials that we got to be patient for. Some things are solved faster. Some things we got to be weeks and months and years on to be patient with, Lord. And Lord, as we think about some of these illustrations, Lord, that we know that you're in control, help us to be kind, loving, tenderhearted towards others. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, thank you.